Right then, good evening. It is Monday, it is 7 o'clock, and it is time for Drift Crash. Unfortunately, this week we've not been able to get out and do our kind of regular programming. Obviously, the whole world is on hold at the moment, so yeah, strange times. But what we have got is some footage that we took when we were out testing the car when I blew the engine up. So we're going to put that in, and also an interview I did with the guys about entering the BDC and what my thoughts are for the year and what my expectations are. So maybe we can come back to that at the end of the year when we've all got outside again. Other than that, hope you enjoy the video, and a huge thanks to the NHS and obviously everyone out there still working, keeping the country going. Keep your heads down, do your best, and just stay in your house and try and enjoy some YouTube. So hope you're all good, and see you next week.
Like to get the cheese, quick to pull the gat and make you run and get up on your knees. Flashlight, it's all in your face like cheese and get them seeds. Put the snake got the break like crash. Throw the couch, start fast. Take the pace, make a mistake. The clock, the conversation, private, the blood like a novel. The crowd goes crazy, crowd goes crazy. Knowledge is a weapon, education amazing, it's crazy. Crowd goes crazy. Prison pistols on me, listen, you don't wanna play me. The crowd goes crazy. The crowd goes crazy. What up? Crazy. The crowd goes crazy. What up? One time it was a prison, was a country girl.
Hello, we are back, and this week the lads have roped me into answering some questions on what I'm going to be doing in the BDC this year and what my predictions are for how awesomely or how completely awful I'm going to do. So the first subject I've been tasked with is to have a little chit chat about my car setup and how I think that's going to do. Honestly, at this point, I don't really know. I think that because it moves in such a different way and because it reacts so differently to everything else, I think it could be very difficult for people to cope with on one hand, but on another hand, it might be hard for me to mirror other people's driving because my car just pushes forward so much, you know? Although I've always loved to drive in a Japanese style, I've never really had a setup which was absolutely focused and current with what is trending in Japan right now. Certainly at you kind of mid to sort of upper level driving, people are all using a very similar setup to mine. In fact, my setup is directly from Naoki Nakamura, so the only person who can cock it up is me. But for all intents and purposes, the car's very simple. I've got cut knuckles, I've got some adjustable arms, and some really good tyres and some really good dampers. And that's it. There's nothing else. There's no roll center correction or any of that well, adjustment or any of that sort of malarkey. It's just as simple as it can be. The engine setup I've got for the year, I've never had that much power. Previously I ran 400 horsepower, this is in competition now, but previously I ran 400 horsepower, 235 street tyres, and I was competing with guys with 600-700 horsepower and racing slicks. So I've always been at a disadvantage. So in some senses I feel like I'm a little bit slow, but then I don't know because I've never had anything power-wise like that or grip-wise like that. But I know the car itself is fast, so it's how I can pedal the car. The engine should be absolutely bomb-proof because it's been built by Dave at DY. The guys here at Carson are just doing everything they can to support the project and keep it going and just make sure the car stays on track. It's all about reliability, keeping it simple and just removing anything with the potential to go wrong, just getting rid of it. And the new G-Series turbo, Martin from MB, who's mapping the car, is real excited about running that turbo and working with it and seeing what it can do. So, and there's a lot of people waiting for that kind of feedback as well with the SR engine, with that kind of spec. So this year, and for the first time really in my drifting, I'm moving over to a proper drift tyre with, like you've seen in previous videos, but very much like how the shoulder wear works and how the tyre works generally now, compared with how we used to do it, is so different. Having that extra level of grip, especially from a really soft, low tread wear tyre, it just allows you to do so much more with your suspension and be less dependent on the steering, being able to drive the car with the back of the car rather than the front, if that makes any sense at all. Tracks I am looking forward to driving this year. Wow. I think I'm in a bit of a funny position because a couple of them, like Three Sisters and Teesside, I was the first guy to drift there. That was a long time ago. And so I'm kind of interested to see what those circuits are like now that, it's maybe 15 years later or something. So through like this experience I've had all around the place, drifting and to go back there and see what I make of it. But what am I looking forwards to? Driftland, because I've never been there and it is a dedicated drift circuit and you've got to respect that. Who am I looking forwards to being on track with? A difficult one because honestly, I don't know everybody that's driving now because I've been doing different things, I've been running businesses and I've been away from drifting. Although my passion for it and my involvement has still been there, I just haven't been able to follow who's currently on top as much as I'd like to. Although I'm driving with, sort of loosely affiliated with Low Origin at the moment, and Danny Wyman's going to be there. He's in a different class to me, but I think it'll be real fun to work with him and we can bounce off each other because he's a bloody good driver. So I think we can definitely learn a lot from each other. And Martin Cowley, who's moved up from the Pro-Am class to the Pro, and he's using my style of suspension system and my kind of setting this year. So I think our cars will move in a very similar way. If that's the case, I think it could make some really cool looking runs. Winning's a bonus, doing well in competition, but actually I just want to make it look as awesome as I possibly can. So where am I going to finish? What will the result be? There are so many variables. It's impossibly difficult to say right now. I don't know the current drivers, but they don't really know me. I haven't done that much driving in recent years, but then I've also got a lot of experience. So, I can watch. I've been back and studied some of the runs that I've seen from the last season of BDC, and there's a lot of it where I think, well, I could have had a quicker line through there, or I could have changed that angle there, or I could have attacked here, or at that point, or he was slow, he was fast, and that's all well and good when I'm sat here. But actually being in the car and doing it is a different thing. I hope that from this, my intentions are kind of clarified really, and that you guys out there can just enjoy the journey with me. I don't necessarily want to, be cheered on when I win or booed when I lose or whatever it is, but just that you enjoy the process and you enjoy watching how my brain deals with problems along the way, because that's how motorsport works. You know, and that's how drifting, well, not really motorsport, drifting is a different thing, but it's the way it works, is always constantly overcoming challenges and developing for the future. So I really hope you enjoy that. And, you know, if you come out to events, you know, come and say hello and interact, like that's, you know, I'm more than happy to speak to anybody. For sure, we're gonna have like in-car footage, behind the scenes stuff, you know, setup stuff, what I'm changing at the events, how I'm adapting to situations, and how I'm adapting to other drivers. So just come along for the ride and just see what happens. Like it's gonna be some fun. So that's me. Thank you for watching. See you next Monday at 7.